let's get started. So, for all our viewers out there, could you please introduce yourself? So, your name, grade, I'm not sure if you're in college, so major in college, what field you'd like to pursue in the future, and a fun fact.
All right. So my name's Daniela Beck. I'm a senior at Chatham University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, pursuing a dual degree in MIS, which is Management Information Systems and International
Mm-hmm.
Business. So my interests in tech well, it wasn't really something I thought I would get into like as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But then once I got older, specifically in high school, I had more experiences within technology. And then I decided, well, I'm doing this, I'm also taking business classes. So it made more sense for me to just kind of
Yeah.
combine the two, which is what I'm doing now. So
Mm-hmm.
now that I'm here in college, I've tried out a bunch of different things, but I really enjoyed project management. So I'm hoping to get more into like a PM sort of role once I graduate.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's super cool. So, I was like looking into MIS as majors when I was applying to college as well. Yeah, so that's awesome. You're probably gonna start working this fall, aren't you?
No, next year. I graduate in December.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, so how did you first get into STEM? Because you talked about how it wasn't really a traditional path for you. And how has your experience been so far?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, STEM wasn't really something that I thought I would be doing. I know
Mhm.
growing up, I always changed my mind as to what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a doctor, I wanted to be an engineer, I wanted to be a lawyer, I wanted to be everything.
Mhm.
But it wasn't until my sophomore year of high school, when I was in the gifted program, that I really saw technology as, a career path.
Mhm.
I was in the gifted program, and part of it was doing these different seminars or workshops or attending different events to
Mhm.
get points to like stay in the program. So one of the things that I did was an Alice workshop.
Mhm.
Essentially, Alice is a program that was created by CMU, Carnegie Mellon University, to teach kids how to code. And I did this workshop with one of the business teachers, and we went through it, and I really just fell in love with it. So that was really at least for me, the driving factor behind why I wanted to go into STEM. And then as far as combining it with business, like I said earlier, I've done business courses in the past, and what really makes my major MIS so awesome is the fact that it's so practical. Like there's so many different applications and you don't have to be programming. Like I'll be honest with you, a lot of the courses that I take aren't programming.
Mhm.
We do all the business courses, accounting, finance, economics, marketing on
Mhm.
top of the programming and then doing database design and development too.
Yeah, that's super cool to hear. I didn't know like the full understanding of what MIS was. So that's really cool for you to share. I also started only in my sophomore year of high school. That's when I realized like, oh, maybe tech's an option. But as it is in most industries, for tech, it was like a 30 to 2 male to female ratio in my first class
Yes.
ever. Yeah, so it's like Code with Clossy, which is a summer boot camp for girls. That's what really set me to do tech in the long term. So it's super cool that there's like programs like this so that girls can go into STEM. So yeah. Mm, are there any projects that you have worked on or that you want to work in the future that excite you?
Man, I have so many. I'm not sure where to start. So for
Yeah.
me, when I started college here at Chatham back in the fall of 2017, I thought that, MIS was all programming. MIS was just, sitting behind your computer typing on a screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it wasn't like that at all. But one of the first big things that I got because I was just so passionate about applying for whatever I saw was a Grow with Google Challenge scholarship. And it was just me like a month into my program, first couple of weeks of coding class. Like I barely knew how to code. And, my advisor, she sends out this email for this scholarship. And I thought, I might as well try and get it. And, I ended up getting it. I was really surprised. And I worked on a ton of different projects during that course with Java and XML programming. So, for example, I made like a quiz app, I made a scorekeeper app, I made a business card. And it was just really a great way to showcase my skills. And now, even though that's been over for almost a year, it's definitely an experience that I can look back on. And when I'm interviewing with companies, I can be like, hey, I did this thing with Google and I did all these really amazing things. And that really helps to sell yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Google does a lot of amazing programs for like underrepresented groups in tech. Like I applied to Google CSSI, which is specifically for high school seniors, so we'll link that down below. What was the program you mentioned?
Grow with Google. It's
Okay.
Google and Udacity. Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah. So we'll link those down below. I know CSSI is for high school seniors. So if you're a senior, the deadline is passed. But if you're junior or any other younger high school year, definitely apply. How old do you have to be for yours?
I think you have to be 18 plus.
18
And then
plus.
for university students, there's also the Google Summer of Code,
Oh
where
yeah.
there are companies for like the whole summer. I haven't done it personally because
Mhm,
both last summer and this summer I've been interning.
mhm.
But it's definitely a great experience, and I've heard a lot of good things about it.
Yeah, so we'll link all those resources down below. Google does some amazing programs like that. Do you want to talk a little bit about your internships and where you interned and how your experience has been?
Yeah, sure. So far, I am going to be on my third internship, which is crazy to think about because I
Yeah.
just started. This is my fourth semester, so I'm
Mhm,
just finishing up my first 2 years. So the first summer, so after my first year, I worked at a large transportation company called Lab Tech. They just
mhm.
bought GE Transportation, so they've been in the news a lot recently.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so I worked there as an IT infrastructure intern. So a lot of the stuff that I did was using Microsoft Access, running queries, or in sense, having all sorts of tables and asking the computer to run scripts to answer different questions. So that was really cool. And we also got to do some project management stuff as well. So, for example, we were working on a really big cleanup of the database. And then
Mhm,
on top of doing the queries, I also helped to kind of schedule like who was doing what,
mhm,
when do you want to have it done, and how does everything fall in that sequence. So that
mhm.
was really great. But it was a different experience for me because there weren't a lot of IT interns at that company because that company is really big on engineering. So I would say over 2/3 of the interns were engineers, and they had like a couple IT and finance people. But
Mhm,
I mean, it was a good experience talking with other students and kind of learning more about stuff that I
mhm.
don't know. So the internship that I'm doing right now is at a startup called Caboodle in Pittsburgh. They essentially work in the e-commerce space.
Mhm.
So the purpose of the app is pretty simple. So you'll come into the store, bring in something that you don't want between the range of $5 and $10, and then in essence we give you credits which you can then use to play the game to find something that you want of a similar value.
Oh, okay.
So I've been helping them with that. We're not launched yet. We're hoping to
Mhm,
be launched in the next couple of weeks.
mhm,
But I think it's really fun working at a startup because you get to do all sorts of different things. Like not on top of, looking for bugs in the app, talking with the developers, talking with the two co-founders of the company. I'm running like errands for them occasionally, grabbing stuff
mhm,
from the store. Like it's all over the place, but it's a
mhm.
lot of fun. And you really develop close relationships with the people that you work with at smaller places. And then I'm going to be in New York City this summer working with BlackRock as a summer analyst in the Aladdin Client Services division. Kind of nervous about it because I didn't expect to get it at all. But like you said before, a lot of these big companies have programs for underrepresented groups. And that's how I had initially found out about, I think, forget the name, but it was a diversity program they
Mhm,
had for students that were going to be entering their last year of school, so like the
mhm,
upcoming school year.
mhm.
And I applied and I did the interviews. They flew me out to New York. I did more interviews and I got the job. So, and it was just crazy because you'll see people from all the big schools, Yale, Harvard, Brown, anything you can think of. And then there's just me from like good old Chatham University, just thinking, why am I here? Am I good enough? But I think at the end of the day, it's important to, see that regardless of what school that you go to, I think that the experiences that you have and what you bring to the table is far more important.
Yeah, definitely. That's super cool to hear. Like New York seems like a great internship. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it
best of luck to all of to you for all your career and all your future, endeavors. So yeah, that's super exciting to hear. Do you have any advice for college students who are trying to get internships?
Oh, yeah. So for me, I remember it was like my first or second semester. I felt really low. I was like, for sure I'm not going to get an internship because all these big companies, they hire only juniors and seniors. And I wasn't a junior or a senior. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was a sophomore kind of freshman thing, just like, because of how fast I'm going through my program. So at times, yeah, it was hard. You'd walk up to companies and they would say, no, I'm sorry, we're only looking for juniors and seniors.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like, don't get discouraged because there's so many companies that are like hiring younger students that
Yeah.
are exceptional and like their experiences or their internships or whatever they had before.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know for me, like this lab tech internship, they said that they prefer like juniors and seniors, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, a freshman or a sophomore can't apply. So like don't count yourself out. Because I know a friend of mine at Pitt, and he is a sophomore and he's going to be interning with Citibank in Hong Kong.
Wow, that's super
Yeah.
awesome.
So it's just right there. It's like he's doing better than like probably everyone else is. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, like I feel like a lot of high schoolers feel that as well. It's like, oh, like college or above, you need a degree. So yeah, I relate to you on that aspect. How do you hope to make an impact in your field through the causes that inspire you?
Yeah, I think that for me, having a sense of cultural identity and just cultural awareness is really big. So growing up, my mom's from Colombia, so I've been there a lot. Happen to speak Spanish, and just really immersing myself with that culture. It really made me respect it, and it really made me see that we need more diversity in the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my goals, like once I become a project manager and I'm hopefully working for a big company, is to really help inspire other young women of minority to really see that, they can do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know it's hard because I know at Chatham, the ratio of men and women is pretty much about equal in my program, which
Oh
is very
wow.
rare.
Yeah.
But then again, I know in a lot of other programs, it's not like that. So I think it's just important for young women to have role models that they can look up to.
Mhm. Definitely. Especially like women already are a minority in the tech field, and then you bring
Exactly.
women of color, minorities, and then it's like even smaller of a percentage. So it's like, yeah, it's super great that you're keeping those goals in mind and representing women of your ethnicity in the tech workplace. That's super awesome. Would you say there's like a turning point you had in your life where you like either realized something or it changed your life for the better?
Man, yeah, it will probably have been last year. Like I told you, right? I never thought in 1,000,000,000 years that I would be where I am now, like
Yeah.
producing content on LinkedIn, knowing all these like super big influencers, having three, not one, not two, but three internships, doing programs with Google, Citibank, and a bunch of other big companies. So I think for me, what really started all that was just I had a friend of mine who just encouraged me, and he was like, you really are intelligent. You really need to go after what you want in life, and you just can't sit around and just wait for it.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
I think that for me, just that motivation and that determination that I had ever since then, it's really been keeping me on a really good path, and it's something that I'm really proud of.
Yeah, and that's why like we created this series. Like this is the motivation that girls out there need to just see that
Exactly.
just normal girls like us who didn't start coding since we were like 5, we just started, and we can do it. Like you have 3 internships and amazing opportunities that you've created for yourself. So like I've said in like the previous videos, like just start and honestly that's like the key to success. Do you want to add something?
Yeah, definitely. So the other thing that's really cool, and I've actually interviewed someone earlier this week that wrote a book about this, and she made a really good point. A career in tech, it doesn't, or STEM, it doesn't look the same for everyone. Like for me, for example, I don't really code a lot, but I understand it. I
Mhm.
can code a little bit here and there, but it's part of like the larger scope of what I'm doing,
Mhm.
right? And then
Yeah.
there's the other like super technical people. So what I'm trying to say is there's not really like you have to be super technical or not technical at all. There's
Mhm.
definitely spaces in tech where it's like business plus tech, healthcare plus tech, and those intersections are really fun to work at.
Yeah, that's definitely an important point to state because a lot of people think you're just going to be coding all day. Like that's all you do in tech. But
No.
yeah, like tech is like it's a huge industry. There's going to be pathways in every single field and it touches every single industry. So yeah, that's super important. Is there like a best conversation that you've had in your life that made you like realize something or anything like that?
Oh man, yeah. So, like I mentioned before, I'm really active on LinkedIn. Check out my LinkedIn. But anyways, I do a weekly series called #TechBook Thursday. It's my own handle where each week I review a book in tech or business or really just whatever, and I give my three main takeaways that I've learned from that book. So one of the books that I read, and I started to do this a couple weeks ago, I actually started tagging the authors of the books in my post.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the authors, she responded to me, and I ended up talking with her and doing like a little article about our conversation. And what was really awesome was that she was actually in Pittsburgh a couple of weeks ago for a conference at CMU. So I was actually able to meet her in person here.
Wow.
And that was really, because she's from all the way in California. She works as an engineering lead for a big company. And just talking with her was just so amazing. Like, I was so surprised the people that are managers, COOs, like they care about young women getting up to their position and they really want to help us be
Yeah.
successful. So, yeah, I think that was just really enlightening. And I think, like we mentioned before, having mentors and sponsors is so important for your success.
Yeah, so you have a series on LinkedIn?
I do, yes.
Oh, that's super cool. So how did you start that? Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So Tech Book Thursday was, I didn't really expect, like everything in my life, I didn't really expect it to like happen the way it
Yeah.
did. So it started, I saw a post and they're like, what's one more thing you want to do by the end of the year? And I said, I really haven't read books since high school because I haven't had to. And I said, I want to read a book. And then one of my friends ended up seeing the post and giving me a book. And then on top of that, I had a conversation with a creator about how to go start about creating video content because I hadn't done that yet. And at the time, it was brand new. So
Mhm.
I was like, let's combine the two. Let's start a series. And since then, it's been about 3 months now. My just presence on the platform has just grown a lot. Like when I started, I had, I think, like 300 connections, and I'm hitting like 1K probably within the next month or so.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's just all these people from all over the world, seeing your content and really wanting to support you. It's just incredible. So I think
Yeah.
LinkedIn is definitely something that I wish I would have started sooner because it's just opened so many doors for me.
Yeah. So it's a weekly series?
It's a weekly series,
So
yes.
you read a book a week?
Yes, I do.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely link your series down below and I'll check it out as well because I would,
Yeah.
I've started reading a little bit more as well. Like I'm like, okay, let's read some like motivational book, something to teach me
Hmm.
something. And yeah, books and tech are super awesome. So yeah, I'll definitely check your series out. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so have you faced, I know you talked about how your college is a 50-50 mix, which is super rare, and that's super awesome that they're doing that. Have you personally faced any struggles for being a female in STEM? And if you have you like overcome them, or do you have any tips to overcome them?
Oh yeah. So my first internship, I'm so grateful for it. I still am. But one of the things that, at least for me, was very hard was the culture. It was a
Mm,
lot of older men and just men in general at my workplace. I was actually the only female in my department for the
uh,
entire time. So for me, I mean, at times, they'll talk about stuff that maybe, I just don't, maybe I'm not just fully involved with as a woman. But I think one of the things that really helped me was to just to be myself. You can't make everyone happy. You can't make everyone like you.
mm,
But if you just keep doing a good job and you just keep, being kind to everyone, people will notice that. Like even
mm,
saying please, thank you, like small things really
mm.
make a difference.
Yeah, that's good advice. That's new. I haven't heard that one before. But yeah, definitely like just being yourself because like you said, like not everybody's gonna like you is super important, especially
Exactly.
yeah.
And asking questions too. I
Hmm.
think that was the biggest thing that I didn't ask enough questions during my last internship because I don't know, I was like kind of scared. I don't want to bother my manager or my supervisor, like the other people I work with, but honestly, like asking questions, it shows that you're interested and shows that you're passionate about the work. So now in my current internship and my job here on campus, I really try to just be more communicative.
Yeah, that's super important, especially as women. Like, we tend to shy away or not try to bother anybody, but I think it's
Yeah.
super awesome to, like, just, be yourself as well as express yourself and ask all those questions and, talk to people. Opens up new opportunities as well.
It does.
Yeah. So, what would you say is the most interesting thing about you that we wouldn't learn from your resume alone?
Oh man, yeah, I am a really avid fan of languages. So as you know, I like culture. Like even in high school, all my friends were doing like all the hard classes, physics, chem, calculus. Like I did some of that too, but I think a lot of my passion was really in like humanities and the arts. So like I took Spanish, I did world history, I did government and politics. I did sociology. I did psychology. Like I humanities. I did like every social science that there was. And I think
Mhm.
that was really cool. And I think now, like being in college, those classes, I'll be honest with you, I think they've helped me more than some of my like STEM
Yeah.
courses. Like, I don't use chemistry like at all, but I think some of like the cultural stuff that I learned from like
Mhm.
my classes has really helped. Because let's be honest, when you go to college, like I know the area I went to high school in is like very much like white, like 98%. So for me, I really hadn't been around a lot of minorities besides like my mom and like her family and everything. So when I came here and I started meeting people from all these different countries, all these different continents, knowing a little bit about their country or the history of their country, they were amazed. They're like, wow, how do you know this? And then it really just helps you to kind of bond and connect with them in ways that maybe you couldn't have done otherwise.
Yeah, I definitely think languages are fascinating. Like, I took Spanish as my requirement language in high school, and then
Okay.
I know Hindi because I speak it at home, and obviously English. But then I started taking ASL. It was offered at the community college like across from my high school, and I thought it would be a cool class to take because you don't really know how it's like to communicate visually, which is what ASL is. And I thought that was a super cool class. And then I went to a lot of like deaf events and cultural meetups where I was able to use ASL to communicate with people. And that's been a really interesting experience for me because it's like you get like a window into somebody else's life and how different it is, but how normal it is for them and their culture is just normal to them as all our culture is normal to us. So yeah, that's super cool. Like right now though, I live in a place with so many minorities. Like it's majority minority people. So I'm excited to see like where I go to college and how that'll change my perspective because like I hear it's like a huge culture shift for you. So I wonder how it's
It
gonna
was a
be for you.
really big culture shift for
Yeah.
me. Coming from a small town with a public high school of like
Mhm.
2,000 students,
Yeah.
my town was part of this like much bigger district.
Hmm.
So for me, it was like, whoa, like there's so many people, but you get used to it after a while.
Yeah.
And then coming to my college, which is private, used to be all women for almost 150 years.
Oh
And it
wow.
being the first year of co-ed here on campus, just the feeling, even just being in the city, is completely different than it was in the suburbs. So, I mean,
Wow.
it took some time to get used to it, but eventually now I call this my home too.
Yeah, that's super amazing. To wrap this up, what advice would you have for a girl looking to start in this field?
Said, ask a lot of questions. Don't
Mhm.
be afraid. Sometimes the biggest opportunities that you get are just by knocking on the door and maybe
Mhm.
talking with a professor and telling them about, what you're interested in or if they have any opportunities. That's been super helpful for me. Another piece of advice I would give is don't count yourself out. I think a lot of times as women, we think, oh, we're not good enough, or oh, we can't do this, or oh, like I said earlier with my story about the New York internship,
Mhm.
I'm not from like an Ivy League school or like a really big like state school. I'm not going to get this. Yeah, no, you can't say that because you're just underestimating yourself and you're just selling yourself short. So really get out there. And I know you can't be like super forceful about it, but still, when you're in these interviews, when you talk to people, feel free to share your story. Feel free to share, things that you've done in the past that you really enjoyed, because that's going to lead you to ending up doing things that, you're going to really make an impact in.
Yeah. And you don't realize a lot of people share a lot of similarities to other people, and unless you share your story and, talk about yourself and be yourself, you're not going to realize that and make the genuine connections that you want to
Yeah.
at work or like just in life. So, yeah, so thank you so much, Daniela, for sharing your story and telling us about your experience. Everybody's is unique, and I feel like yours, maybe a lot of people could relate to. Yeah, so with that, thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe below. New videos come out every Friday right here on this channel. Yeah, let me stop recording. Um,